Good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Basim Shaban, and we welcome you to a very special online Zoom event, as you can tell, related to a very important dialogue about women equality in the United States and pretty much around the world. This is an issue that has plagued humanity for many generations, and we have guest speakers who are active in their respected religious community in this work and other social justice projects and issues that they are very passionate about. So this is part of a very important initiative, as we call it, the Golden Rule Initiative. And we have students, we have members of the general public joining us. So we're very happy that you're able to join us, and we look forward to a great dialogue with these ladies and the audience members joining us. I'm going to turn it over to Thomas, who's going to be our host for the event, and he's also going to introduce us to our speakers today. And for those who do not know me, my name is Basim Shaban, and I wear many hats, as all of us do these days. So I'm a professor of world religions at Seminole State College, and I also run a nonprofit called the Peace Institute that deals with social issues on a regular basis. So Thomas, it's all yours.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to quickly share my screen. We have a PowerPoint for this. But to echo the words of Professor Shaban, we're really thankful for everyone that is here today. And can everyone see the PowerPoint okay? I can't exactly hear everyone. Okay, awesome. So, just to echo his words, we're really thankful, I, along with all the other organizers, we're thankful for everyone here, our guest speakers and all the attendees, and we're really excited to have a constructive and fruitful discussion on women in faith and women's rights issues. But we don't really know specifically what that means for today, so I'd like to kind of go over an overview of what exactly that's going to look like. So first and foremost, there are a lot of pivotal religions in the world today that people have an outside looking in perspective on that they don't fully understand. So that leads to a lot of misconceptions and people thinking there are certain beliefs that people hold that they don't actually hold. And what we're hoping for today is that our speakers can kind of give us some clarity on that, to clear these misconceptions, clear the air, so we all have an accurate understanding of these pivotal religions in the world. And then after that, we're going to see their perspectives. They're going to be explained to us, what is their perspective? What is their experience as a woman of faith in these different religions? What does that look like? And how do they interact with these women's rights issues, women's equality, those important context or those important topics and ideas? And then next, we're going to learn what to do. What do people in these religions actually do about these issues? What is their perspective on how to interact with them? Kind of a call to action. And we're later going to look at some different opportunities that people like you and I can use to make a difference in the world. And that's in our everyday life, practical aspects, but also in volunteer opportunities. And then last, or not last but not least, but next, you can engage in the discussion as well. We're going to have a Q&A period after both of our speakers get up and speak and give their input on these topics. And that's a great time for you to ask questions and learn about more of these religions and these ideas. And even if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, our speakers are more than willing to answer those questions. And now, last but not least, we're going to have a Kahoot game. It's going to be pretty brief, but it's going to go over a couple of the topics that we've touched on and some other questions about our speakers. So with all of that said, we're going to have a quick video on women's rights issues and women's equality. So I'm going to play that, and then we'll begin to introduce our speakers.
In one voice, the world declared, human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights.
Women are not even accepted as human beings. They are treated with injustice and inequality. Women are denied. They are neglected, even in the developed countries.
I am from Britain, and I think it is right that I am paid the same as my male counterparts. I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body.
I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not. And the government will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. Now looking at his watch because apparently a woman's spoken too long.
So I think right now we have the chance to be heard, and that's why we're doing it. We're all doing it because we're asking to try and elicit change.
How do we use this moment to elevate what is happening instead of continually victimize ourselves?
It's our responsibility to make this world a better place. Yes, we play sports. Yes, we play soccer. Yes, we're female athletes, but we're so much more than that.
The women's movement of this world has mellowed. Our issues and our conversation has become issues for men. I get angry when I think about it. No woman should sit down and allow a man to speak about her reproductive rights. Until you've gone through that process, I've come from Africa to tell you you don't qualify.
All right, with that, we're going to begin introducing our first speaker today, Michelle Amos. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. But Michelle Amos and her husband, Elder John Amos, were called to serve as mission leaders in the Louisiana Baton Rouge mission from July of 2020 to July of 2023. She was a missionary leader to over 700 missionaries for the 3 years that they served. And Michelle Amos has held many callings in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and her favorite of the callings have been working with the youth as young women president, youth pastor or youth Sunday school teacher, and young women's secretary responsible for 9 churches. Prior to mission leadership, Michelle has worked or did work for 30 years at NASA Kennedy Space Center as an electrical design engineer, project manager, and systems engineer. She was privileged to work on several flagship NASA programs before leaving NASA. She was a systems engineer for the Mars 2020 rover Perseverance, which landed on Mars on February 18th of 2021. She worked across 11 system domains to help engineers certify the rover ready for flight. Her last assignment was as systems engineer for deep space logistics, and it will provide supplies for astronauts to live on and work on the moon as part of NASA's Artemis program. Mrs. Amos has been married for 30 years to Elder John Amos, who now serves as North America Southeast Area 70 for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Their home is in Oviedo, Florida. They have 3 children and 5 grandchildren, and Mrs. Amos is the youngest of the 10 children born and raised on a farm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Thank you, Ms. Amos, for coming here to speak.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Thomas, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you all for inviting me to share some of the Christian ideas on women's equality and justice to start this interfaith dialogue on this particular topic. Let's start at the very beginning of the Christian faith. In the Bible, the Old Testament, Genesis 1:27 and 28, we read, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over all the fish of the sea and and over all the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." From this scripture, we learn that God made all of us in his image, both men and women. He made the first couple to live together, to counsel one with another, and to share dominion over every living thing upon the earth. Equality between man and women was established from God with the commandment to do everything together and to share dominion. In the New Testament, Christians believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and the Savior of the world. He was born to show man the way to live to obtain eternal life. In the New Testament, we witness Jesus heal, he defend, he teach, he counsel, he builds genuine relationships with women in the society where they were reduced to second-class status. If we follow the example of Jesus Christ in the New Testament and the order God created from the very beginning, God has shown us a divine way that men and women are equal partners. God has used women of faith throughout the history of the world, and he continues to inspire them today. Women of faith, whether they're Christian, Islam, Hindu, Buddha, Judah, or any other faiths, who follow God's given instincts, who love others, and hope for happiness and health for all people, will find a way to change the world for good. There is hope as women today inspire children and all people to follow God. Hope as we lead by example to love and respect women and men as equals, and hope as we awaken the souls to protect the earth that gives us the very life that we have today. It all starts by knowing our divine worth as mothers of all living. Women were created to give life, and life for many begins with hope. Throughout the world, many women and girls still face poverty, discrimination, and injustices. And according to Amnesty International, women's rights and justice include the right to live free from violence and discrimination, to enjoy the highest attainable standards of physical and mental health, to be educated, to own property, to vote, and to earn an equal wage, all those things we just heard in your video. It was Dr. Martin Luther King who said, oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever. The yearning for freedom eventually manifests itself. So how do women of faith help, influence, and make a change? First, we need to self-educate and be aware. We can use the internet, which many of us are very familiar with and are good at, to search for the causes that we're interested in. We can listen to podcasts and attend Zooms or college events like we're doing right now. So kudos to you all. We can talk to our local leaders, your church leaders, your local charities and organizations that help with these women causes. And if you're really good, read books, read papers, and take classes and study these topics of interest. Another thing you can do is join or donate to national and international organizations that support women's rights. These organizations offer women and children education, protection, health, and humanitarian aid. All of you have skills. We all have skills and talents. Use those abilities and your personal experiences to make a difference. Change will only occur when influential people, powerful people, or philanthropists, or common people like me and you, when we unite together and use our voices to be heard. Change sometimes demands time. It takes time, and sometimes even an act of God to bring on change. The 19th Amendment makes it illegal to deny the right to vote to any citizen based on their sex, which effectively granted women the right to vote. But achieving the power to vote took decades of struggle and protest from women leaders like Susan B. Anthony and Sojourner Truth. It was first introduced in Congress in 1878 and was finally certified 42 years later in 1920. So there we go, time, it takes time. The Equal Rights Amendment soon followed afterward and was proposed in Congress in 1923 in an effort to secure full equality for women in terms of divorce, poverty, of property, employment, and other matters. It failed to achieve ratification, but women gradually achieved greater equality through legal victories, including the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which ultimately codified the right to vote for all women. Let's turn our hearts now to humanitarian relief for women and children. The Relief Society of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of which I'm a member, is a humanitarian and educational women's organization. It's founded in 1842 in Nauvoo, Illinois, and has more than 7 million members in over 188 countries and territories. It is said to be the oldest and the largest women's organization in the world. The expectation for women in Relief Society is to lead the world, and especially the women of the world, in everything that is praiseworthy, everything that is godlike, everything that is uplifting, and that is to purify, and that is purifying for the children of men. In 1888, the Relief Society became a chartered member of the National Council of Women and the International Council of Women. And these two organizations were established primarily to promote women's suffrage and to improve the life of women and children everywhere. In modern day, today in 2024, this Relief Society has a global effort in over 12 countries to improve health and development of children under 5 and their mothers. This initiative aims to improve access to nutrition, immunizations, and maternal and newborn care. The Relief Society General Presidency leads this church's global organization's women organization and spearheads this effort, but not alone. They have united with other humanitarian organizations of the same common interest. The General Relief Society president is Camilla N. Johnson, and she said, "We are grateful for the opportunity God gives us every day to love our neighbors." President Johnson went on to say, "Often the best humanitarian outreach is to those closest to us in everyday acts of kindness. When we serve our families and our neighbors, we are a part of a global cause. As followers of Jesus Christ, we strive to embrace God's two greatest commandments, to love God and to love our neighbors. We believe when we serve our fellow beings, we are actually serving God." In December of 2023, 60,000 families, women and children, were blessed in New York City when their interfaith leaders came together to provide food, clothes, laptops, and toys for those that were needy. And one of those interfaith leaders was the Reverend Q. English of New York. She is an interfaith leader of the Commission of Religious Leaders. She has served as the director of the Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships in the United States Department of Health and Human Services since 2021. Reverend Q. English said about interfaith service, "We come together to support humanity. When we see one another, we should see God." God has used women of faith throughout the history of the world to use our charity that's already inside of us to help bring relief to those in need. Women of faith can tap into the power of God to guide them in this rescue. I encourage you to find your passion, to use the power that's within you to restore equality to women. That is a gift given to God, given from God from the very beginning. When you take action, I promise hope lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Amos. We really appreciate it. Now I'm going to hand it over to, well, not hand it over just yet. I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Amina Hamidullah, I believe. I apologize again if I wasn't able to get the correct pronunciation with that. But Amina is a program director and a co-founder of the Knowledge for Living Incorporated, a nonprofit 501c3 educational community organization. The organization serves as an educational resource and referral agency providing training for low to moderate income communities for the development of the necessary skills to minimize and eliminate the social, economic, and educational deprivations of targeted communities. Her educational background is in the field of accounting and public administration. Amina has served as a member of the Mayor of Orlando Task Force for the Revitalization of Downtown Orlando and the Orlando Police Review Board, and she now serves on the advisory board of Valencia College Peace and Justice Institute, and she is the president of the Paramore District on Orlando Main Street. And she is an avid reader and is committed to a life of service. Thank you so much, Amina, for coming here. And again, the floor is yours.
thank you for having me. And I definitely cut that resume pretty short because the older I get, I want to go backwards so I can have more time to do this work. So a lot of things has been cut out, but I'm trying to follow the new generation and not speak so much about me, but do the work. So thank you guys for having me. And I love talking about this subject because my whole world is involved around education, and particularly when it comes to educating, particularly with interfaith projects. I'm privy and happy to have actually grown up in a Christian background, Christian family. So I have studied in various universities, the comparative religions. So I feel really good and blessed and special that I am working with a group of people in downtown Paramore that is from all walks of life, all faiths, and we can interchange and everyone can have a seat at the table. I started an organization recently to talk about the things that we're talking about today. We call it the Street Committee. And we call it the Street Committee because we bring in people from different religions into my center to talk about issues, particularly about women issues, that we can make a better life, not only for women, but for the whole society. I'm a Muslim, proud to be a Muslim, but I know so much about others' faiths, and I recognize one of the things that we must do is understand and be able to interact with people from all religions. We must be able to know enough about others, want to know enough about others to be able to make a difference together. And so as I say that, I recognize that my religion teaches us that paradise lies at the foot of the woman. And in our religion, we get a special blessing. Men get a special blessing, but educating women. So obviously, for our Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him, took it very seriously that women had their equal rights. And throughout the Quran, you hear sisters or women in Islam talk a lot about the fact that our paradise lies at our feet. We are supposed to be educated. The monies that we have belongs to us. We can work. We can do things. We can be active in the community. So all those things that we just got to listening to when we was listening at the various speakers speak, that's in our religion. All those things that they talked about, women having a voice, women having rights, women can inherit properties. All those things are who we are. So I am just so thankful to have this platform to share what we're doing, particularly in the Paramore area, to make certain that the things that others before us have worked so hard on so that women can make a difference. We have a lot of work to do, of course, and all those significant changes have been made along the way. Much work remains to be done. The women's rights community has worked tirelessly over the years. My parents, my grandparents, etc., has worked tirelessly over the years to make the difference. And I've seen some of those differences in my lifetime. But we still run into the problem of trying to embody our religious beliefs into the spectrum of what's happening to society. So as we try to do that, we run into these obstacles with the society as we stand up, because we interpret our sacred books based on information that cannot be changed. In the Quran particularly, there's no changing that we are going to make to the Quran. So as we look at things happening now, we have to look from a contemporary standpoint, because we're living in today's society, but we cannot change the strip. We cannot change the book. We cannot change what God has given our prophet to give to us. So as we know that we cannot change it, but as we know that life is changing and things in the world is changing, we have to adapt. And that's the challenge. We have to adapt to the changes in the world and make certain that those changes do not change who we really are. And for me, I wrote this down. Our foundation, our challenge is the foundation of belief. So we are challenged, all of us are challenged to hold on to the foundation of our belief, but also make changes in the world. Related to community and related to your faith, it should be hand in hand. We should be able to work together, perform together, etc. I'm in Paramore. I love to be in Paramore because I have a lifetime commitment to serve and I get an opportunity to educate. I'm in my center now, so you see the books and we continue to get the books because we want all of us to educate ourselves so that we can make a difference, not just in Paramore, but all around the world. And the key to making that difference is to understand who you are, follow what you believe, come together and have a seat at each table so we can all learn and grow from each other. My office have this timetable on it. So if things changed in here, that's because the lights went down because we are on a timer. So if I look different, but of course, if I just, kind of like stand up, then the lights come back on. So that's what's happening there. What we need to do for education is involve our youth. We need to involve our youth. We need to get our college students, etc., to come and be in the fold with us so that we can make that difference. We have to educate ourselves. We have to look for examples of people that are trying to intertwine their religious beliefs, because for me personally, we have to be focused on something deeper than what we see. And I think we just heard that from Michelle as she talked about her faith and what she believed. We have to have something deeper to push us forward. So we know that the issues with wages and women's rights and what political role we play in society is always going to be there. But as a Muslim, none of the things that we are charged to do in this contemporary society goes against who we are. It's just that we have to stay into the framework to make certain that we represent ourselves as we represent. So I didn't come to Paramore looking for just to help people. I came to Paramore to make a difference, to do the things that others are doing globally, to recognize that women have a voice, to stand out, to make certain that women have a voice, to go against the odds. Sometimes you have to do that, to go against the odds to make a difference, to speak your mind, to find a platform. So I challenge young people to find a platform, find a way to make a difference through education as we continue to try to make certain that we bridge the gap for women all over the world. It is my desire to be at a point, at some point in our world, where we do not have to have an issue about women's rights. We do not have to worry about whether or not we are getting paid different from a man based on we being a woman. We do not have to take a seat, abuse even. We don't have to take a seat in the back if we are educated and qualified to be upfront with someone else. We don't have to deal with abuse in our society for women. As we know, there are women that abuse men, but the majority of the time it's the other way around. So you and me and others can make a difference by challenging society to focus on those things. So we have to be active. We have to play an active role to make certain that those problems in society, poverty with women, single family homes, abuse of women, uneducation for women. All those things are issues that's been issues, quite frankly, for a very long time. So we keep talking about these issues. Now we sitting here today, let's try to find some solutions other than the solutions that we already have, because those solutions are not necessarily working. So that's what I want to hear from us is what can we do different to make a difference? So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hamidullah. We really appreciate all the input that you've given and your perspective. It's really eye-opening. So now we're going to open up the floor for questions. You can write your questions in the chat. Just make sure that you address who you're asking the question to. And if it's for both, you can write that there too. And for our speakers, feel free to kind of bounce ideas off of each other and, add some commentary. Because again, this is a dialogue. This isn't just, answers and questions. We want to have a good discussion. So if anyone has any questions, feel free in the chat to write some.
I guess we did real good, Michelle.
Yes, we did. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for yours as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't see any comments just yet or questions, but I'll ask you guys one. Can you share a bit about your own journey, and this is for both of you, on how you got involved in advocating for women's equality and women's rights? Like, how did that process look like for y'all?
But for me, I'll speak. For me, I grew up in a family of women that was doing this type of work. I stand on the shoulders of giants. So it's almost like it was just going to happen because that's what I saw. I saw my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother making a difference. They all had leadership positions. So it was seen early on. That's why I'm always trying to work with the youth. And I saw it to a point that as I finished college and took programs and took jobs, it was a given. It was a given that I had to give back to society. So it was kind of like easy for me. And actually it gets harder as I get older, I guess because society is changing. So, but it was a given for me that I had to give back. It was a given to me that I had to have mentors that I could ask questions to. It was important for me to see the examples that you put on stage early on in the introduction, because those are people that, some of those people are people that I listen to, or I look up to, or I even try to see what they're doing that I could do in my community. So it doesn't require one person to do the work. It requires a lot of people. So you got mentors that you had behind you, and you're looking for the future. So my college students that are on here, I'm even looking at you to see what I can get from you to bring to my programs, to make my programs better, because you are the future. So therefore, I'm looking to see what you can give to me and my community to help me make a difference in this community and in the world.
Okay, I was involved at a very early age in our church, even as youth, children, 12 years and under, and our teenagers, and also our women's organization, Relief Society, that you heard out a lot. We do a lot of charity organizations. So since I was 12, I've been working in charitable organizations supporting girls in other countries who don't have, the things that we have in our country. So we've put together kits for the homeless. A lot of times we've had events at our church for the homeless. And a lot of times you see these are women with small children that don't have supplies for school. So I've been able to participate in projects, charitable organizations all my life through my church. And so that might be an avenue that you use. And once you get started in one of these events, it'll snowball. You'll learn about other, shelters now for battered women. And you will learn about other organizations that you can support, and you get involved and continue to get involved. And some of the efforts that the Church of Jesus Christ does are worldwide and international. So we've made quilts and blankets after hurricanes, which happen a lot in Central Florida area. We do disaster relief efforts and go out, women as well as men go out and help with removing debris from homes and helping people start their lives all over again. So there's church can be a start. If you have something that's close to your heart, if you know someone that has had, problems after divorce, and women just don't have the education, they don't have the work, they don't have the skills to take care of themselves. We've been privileged or honored to have women live with us in our home as they transitioned in with these changes in their lives. So one opportunity will lead to another. I believe if your heart is good and you want to go out and help, it could be with homeless, it could be with women in abuse, it could be educating, making sure women are educated, helping women find jobs, whatever it is that you feel that you have a connection to, get involved, find that charity, find that church organization, and just start helping with that. Let me see if there was anything else on here. I followed my mom and my sisters. I'm the youngest of 10, and I have 6 older sisters, and my mom and my aunts, they've all been involved in the community. So those are other ways that I've been involved with women's rights and helping to help women when they are in need. And it has been very rewarding. And as soon as you start giving to others, the feelings that you have, you just grow. I think you grow individually in your love. Your heart gets bigger and you want to help more and more people. It's a feeling that's compared to none other.
Thank you so much for all the answers. It's really inspiring to hear your stories. I think there are a couple more questions in the chat. First one is, what are some of the key challenges or obstacles that you have encountered in your efforts to promote gender equality within your community of faith? And how have you navigated these challenges? And that can be for either speaker.
I think for me, one of the key challenges has been educating others about women, I think that my challenge has been making certain that men know what our religion teaches us about how we relate to women and what our rights are. I think deep down inside, men know this, but it's a challenge for me to remind them that we have been given rights and responsibilities actually to make a difference. So the challenge has been for me to find ways to show up in my community and stay within who I want to be as a Muslim woman. I also want to say that in our community, and I'm talking about the broader community, we kind of do a lot of interchangeable work together, nationally and globally. And right up the street from where I am, there is a what we call a masjid, which is like a mosque that has a church connected to it. So when people that come in this area, they feel very, very comfortable because they see us working together. They see Christian organization and Muslim organizations working hand in hand to the point that they're connected to the hip, I call it, at one of our centers, which has a church next to it. So I think that if we continue to make things a little what I call user-friendly, we'll be able to push our work even further. And that is acknowledging and respecting each other's faiths, each other's beliefs, but at the same time, having a common denominator, which is service.
I love that. Thank you, Amanaya, for sharing that. Some of the things, our church has several programs that can help women to, I guess, close the gap in some of those challenges that they may be facing. One of the really good programs we have is a self-reliance program that teaches all people, not just women, but teaches everyone about how to be self-reliant. One of the big things is budgeting, making sure your finances are in order, teaching you how to plan meals, how to be involved in all the areas of your life, your spiritual and your social, emotional challenges that women have. And so there's help for that. We even have a counseling services that can be offered to women that, have this low self-esteem, which is huge when women are experiencing inequality. And so they can receive counseling through the church organizations. Women who are coming to this country that don't speak English. We have a program called English Connect that can help women gain that confidence. You have to be able to speak English pretty much to have a higher paying job. And so learning English, and then also we have employment agencies. So the employment agencies can help our women find employment at the skill level where they are. And then we can get them involved in a pathways program, which enables women to go back to school, start taking classes at the community college level. And then those classes will help you to be able to transition into a larger university. Education is the way out of poverty. Education is the way to learn to build your self-esteem. Education is a way to be able to provide for yourself when there's not a man in your family. And there's many different types of families, single families, and then there's also for abuse. I wanted to mention we have an abuse program that even includes women that are being battered, and also if women themselves may have a drug abuse or some kind of thing that they're addicted to. And so we have programs that could help them through that. So self-reliance, key. You have to build your own self-esteem, be able to depend upon yourself first. You have to be able to do that in all areas of your life. Helping them learn English if language is a barrier to finding a better job. Education can be a barrier to getting more than a minimum wage job. And so we help you in our Pathways program. If you need counseling for mental health or for building up that self-esteem, learning your divine worth, we have counselors. Also, the leaders of our local churches are bishops, and our bishops can counsel and get you started or even advise you on what program that can help you. So there's many programs, and all of these programs may begin in our church, but we also partner with a lot of other charities and organizations that can offer them legal advice if they need legal advice on how to get out of a bad situation. It could be a financial situation, or it could be that abusive a situation, or maybe even a divorce, if that is the best path they should take, which is usually not the first path. We encourage and try to keep families together, but sometimes if you're in an abusive relationship, that might be the best decision for your family. So we have people to help counsel them on all of these opportunities.
And may I add, I didn't say this because I'm having my nonprofit here, but there is a support system so strong for the work that I do. We're so global as Muslims. We're so global. And here in Orlando, I'm sure Professor Bassem could speak on this as well, even better than me. There's just someone from every part of the world here. So although I do the work that I do, I feel so comfortable because I know I have such a support system if I can't get the work done. So when we started talking about my mosque and masjid is up under an umbrella of a lot of massages, we call them, up on the Islamic Society of Central Florida. So if I fall short somewhere, it's kind of like a baby when they first starting to walk. And then they know that, mommy, daddy is right there to pick them up if they fall. So it seems like a lot of times I can move freely and make mistakes and do things that I wouldn't normally do because I have a strong support system with the Muslim community here in Orlando. So I don't stand alone. There's so many giants that on my shoulder that if I can't get it done at my particular place of worship, there are so many other Muslim organizations and mosques around that I can go and seek help. And that's just such a beautiful, that's actually, it's a great confidence in you as young people going out into the world to know that there are support systems, like Michelle was saying, there are support systems for you. You don't have to do it alone. And you just need to get with those like-minded people to get the work done. So I have done this work kind of like freely because I know if I fall, I have a whole group of people that can pick me up. So surround yourself with those kind of people that have the same vision and the same mission similar to you, and collaborate with those people.
Thank you so much for those answers, Ms. Amos. That kind of is along the same lines of something you talked about with education and getting women that need education back into the school system. And it's, what would you advise to women in their late 30s who did not get the privilege to education due to their position in the community? So how would you say you could get started on that path to get back into?
Okay, I mentioned a Pathways program that our church has. It's not just for members. So if you're interested in participating in that Pathways program, you could reach out to find a local Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that's near you. And or you could contact our missionaries. Our missionaries, I guess you can go to LDS.org on the internet, or you can type in LDS Pathways Program, and you can probably Google it and find a lot of information about that program and how you can get started. It's an educational program for anyone that wants to get back into school. And I'm 10 children. Grew up on a farm. Neither of my parents finished high school. And I worked for NASA and helped with the Mars rover and helped design a lot of space exploration systems for our nation. So tell them they can do it. It takes hard work. You have to, first of all, you have to have that confidence, or they've got to hear something that will give them some inspiration to move forward. That's why I speak. I do a lot of public speaking and help people to know that they can overcome that challenge. We've had a young woman live with us who was not married and had a small child, and we helped her get back on her feet. And I just saw her the other day. It had been almost a year, and she's now working as a nurse. We encourage her to go into the nursing program. She can provide for herself. She lives in her own apartment. She has her own car. And it's just wonderful. Sometimes you just need someone to help you. You do need help. Everybody needs help at some time, but the help is there. Have them to Google if they can get access. Everybody has a smartphone. So just Google help. How do I get back into school? Our church does offer that program, and that we can help them to get started in that program, and then they can go from there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think most organizations probably have some type of program for education for the youth. We actually have a program called Rights of UNFA. And what that means is that as girls grow up, they get the necessary skills they need to become young women. And I'm a founder of a women's organization where each year we give about 15 scholarships to girls. So last year we gave $150,000 of scholarships to our girls. So, but right now and we do it every year. We give scholarships every year. But what we're trying to do right now, because some of our donors are saying that although we are educating the girls, who are the girls going to marry if we don't educate the boys? So we're beginning to educate the boys as well, but our focus still is on the education of girls. So most of the religious organizations, the Islamic religious organizations in Orlando and outside of Orlando, have a program that specializes in education for sure. Education is very crucial in the Islamic world, very, very crucial. As a matter of fact, I guess I'll say this because I'm so proud of it. The first university was founded by a Muslim woman in Morocco, the very first university. And of course, I never met her. Yeah, Michelle, that's good. I never met her, but she's my role model. So yeah, so we have those women that we can look back on, not just in our family, but we can go further back and look at these women and use them as role models. And they really do propel you to make a difference. And I think Michelle can agree to that. Those women from the past, not just in your family, but those that biblical times, they can propel you. I know so many stories of women in the Bible, Martha and all those women in the Bible. And then of course the women around Islam. But even those women can make a difference in how you view what you can do to make a difference. So don't just stop with the living. Go back and pick up where people have gotten you to where you are today, who has made a difference to allow you to be who you are. I know I'm very I'm very visual, so I use my hands a lot. So, and I get excited about these topics too. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. And I agree, Mrs. Amos is my role model now too. And it's great to hear how many opportunities there are for women in need, and not just women in need, but people in general. We have another question here. It might have to be our last one because Mrs. Amos needs to leave.
I'm good for another 10 minutes.
So it's what advice, and this can be for both of you, what advice would you give to female? Oh, okay, awesome. So this is the question. What advice would you give to the female immigrant community to make their way in a different country with so many challenges to face?
I mentioned earlier, English Connect. If they're not, English Connect is a program that we have in Central Florida. Many of our churches offer it on a particular night, and you just attend the program and they will teach you English. We've developed a recent relationship with the Mexican consulate that have a lot of people coming into the country. And I think we have over 3,000 people that are looking to learn English through our English Connect program. So that learning the language is the beginning that opens the doors for many other opportunities. So that would be the first thing you can do. And then once you're in those English Connect classes, you might be able to ask your professors for specific needs that you might have. Like there's other charities and organizations that can help you with finding homes or housing to meet your housing needs. And if you have children, there's other opportunities that you can use to help with providing food for your children. So there is hope. That was hopefully that was a ringing sound in my talk. There is hope. There is hope. Never give up. Just start, and you'll find your way.
Absolutely. And I think the advice that I would give outside of learning the language here is once you get here and you're here because you want to be here, you need to become a part of the society. You can't, some of us might think, oh, when I was here, when I was younger, when I lived with mom and dad, things was a certain way. But those times have passed. And if you move here from other countries, outside of you holding on to your religious belief, you have to find a way to be a part of the society. And being a part of the society will help you make a difference in society. And there's so many stories of Muslims coming from other countries that have made huge differences in the United States, even in Orlando. So you come from another place and you find a way to I wouldn't say fit, but you find a way to take what you want to be about, what you want to do, what difference you want to make, and incorporate it with what's going on in the world today, in the United States or wherever you move to. But you can't come from somewhere else and try to change the system, because that won't work. But you try to fit in with the system without you losing your own values and your own beliefs. That's what I was thinking.
Another thing came to mind is the public libraries. There's lots of information in our public libraries, even the internet. I mentioned people having smartphones. Not everybody has a smartphone. Maybe the immigrants that are coming here haven't gotten that yet. But you can get access to the internet and look up the charities or the organizations that you need. If you're an immigrant, so if you're related to, Russian or Ukraine, if you're a refugee or you're trying to find safety in the country, go to the library, look up an organization that can support your nationality, your ethnic background, or your religion. Start there. And then joining those organizations, you're going to get to meet people that will help give you guidance to help you meet your needs.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Thank you for sharing all those resources. Another question that we have is, what positive experiences have you had within your faith community that have empowered or uplifted women that were particularly meaningful to you? Any particular memories that stand out?
I mentioned one earlier. It was Days for Girls. Wow, I just was not even aware that women in other countries don't have, I'm gonna say, the means to provide for a sanitary, when they have their menstrual cycle. I'm just gonna say it. When they have their menstrual cycle. And in the United States, we have so much at our fingertips. And so there were women in other countries who couldn't continue to work because when they started their menstrual cycle, they had to stay home because they didn't have the supplies that they needed. And I just never thought of this. And for girls, they couldn't go to school. So for that week or however long their cycles were, they were out of work. Women couldn't hold jobs because they were losing their jobs. Girls were not getting the education they needed because they were missing so much school. And this is just such a simple thing that we have in our country at our fingertips. So we were able to provide kits, and even some countries didn't have water to use to wash these items that we were providing for them. So we put together a whole kit where they would need minimum amount of water. This allowed girls to stay in school. This allowed women to keep their jobs and have a whole different life. We talked about education, how important that is, and how women need to work to provide for the food for their families. And so that program just really was an eye-opener to me because I live in this wonderful country. We have so much at our fingertips here. We are truly blessed. And it's not that way for everyone all over the world. So if you can get involved and you find a way to help, like I said, these experiences will change your life. They will be eye-openers to you to realize your blessings of being in the United States and things that you have at your fingertips, and versus other people who are not as fortunate as us that live in different countries that can't provide or not even have the simplest things that nature causes, being able to live and survive through your feminine menstrual cycle, and even to educate them and to help them to know that it's not your fault. There's nothing wrong. It's just the natural cycle of the woman's body so that you're able to give life and to see it in a different way than to see it as a problem or an issue or a barrier. It's not, it's life. So that was one experience.
I think I'm proud of two different programs. One is local and the other one is not. We have a program at Knowledge for Living called Adopt a Family. And most of the families that we are adopting are women-led families. And we give once a month, not only we give food, but we give classes. We teach them how to grow their own food. We have 2 gardens here at Knowledge for Living where they can learn how to grow food, how to cook healthy foods. We also talk about careers because everybody can't go to school to be a doctor or a lawyer, but if they have some kind of skills, carpentry or whatever skills they think they may have, we teach them and we show them examples of people that have taken those same skills and had a wonderful life providing for the families. So we have quite a few food classes here. We do a lot of career training. We definitely talk about, Michelle, financial literacy, and we have a financial literacy class for the youth. Financial literacy has to start right when they need to know the difference between a need and a want. Because if they don't know that difference, then things kind of go out of orbit because they don't understand how to spend money. So we have those kind of classes. We continue to change our classes to fit the need of our community. That's what we're doing locally, and we've been doing that for about 15 years. So the global program Women Did, we started a program, we have adopted a village in Gambia, and we're doing the same thing that you're talking about, Michelle. We're actually sending female products to Gambia. We send money to Gambia to help the girls there go to school. So those programs are on our website, but we are training girls from Gambia to get education, and we hopefully at some point will make them international exchange students, and they can come and get a feel for what the United States is all about. So those are two wonderful programs that it's women-led, and they're successful right now.
I'm gonna apologize because I am gonna have to run. Are there any other questions for me that I can maybe address? Anything personal about my work at NASA? I'll just say this. In my 30-year career at NASA, I have been given great opportunities. I didn't experience any barriers related to race or being a woman. I was given the best opportunities ever. I've been able to lead what we call flagship, very visible projects. So and here again, being an African-American woman with an electrical engineering degree, my brothers were engineers and they encouraged me to study engineering because there weren't many women in that technical area. And so I have had a successful 30-year career leading some of the best projects for our nation, working with teams of people. I value excellence. I value teamwork. I value hard work, because that's what it takes to be able to work at an agency like the Kennedy Space Center or our National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So I'll just leave that as an opening and take a question or two, and then I'm gonna have to sign off.
Well, I had a quick question, just based on what you just said and your background. Have you seen the movie Hidden Figures?
Yes.
What do you think about that movie?
I loved it. It was hidden. It was hidden from us. Katherine Johnson, here again, God put a little talent in all different races, in all different cultures. And she was the one that helped get our lunar program started, and the ones that the astronauts believed in and supported. So I think that was wonderful. I've never been able to meet her. I'm not sure if she's still living, but since that movie, the agency has named several of our facilities in the agency after Katherine Johnson, so that we never forget her, and she's no longer hidden.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to get your opinion about that, because I do believe it was a great movie as well. Thank you for your time, Michelle.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was wonderful.
Yes. And if I may, I know we're closing out.
Yes.
I'm just going to say this real quickly. I know we're closing out, but to piggyback on, I hate that phrase, by the way, but anyway, to share a little, because like I said in the beginning, I did try to cut our resumes down these days. They become lengthy as you get older. But years ago, I actually was the first African-American woman in a major financial institution as a vice president. And it allowed me to make a lot of differences as vice president of a major institution. And it also introduced me to a world where I could still give back again. So with that program, with that position, I was able to go to communities that was not efficient in various areas and start programs called Math with Banking. So they learn to do math through learning how to deal with money. So the kids' grades went really up because they were interested in money, but they was learning how to do math with the banking. So that was something I was very proud of. And this particular institution allowed me to attempt to do financial banking, Islamic financial banking. And interesting enough, most of the people that wanted to try Islamic banking was not Muslims. So we tried it for a while. It didn't give me what I was looking for, but it did give me something psychological that I really understood, that once we get into a certain environment, Muslims and anybody else kind of want to fit in with the status quo. So most of the people that wanted those loans, the financial Islamic loans, were not Muslims. So that was something I was proud of. Of course, now, 20 years later, there's quite a few African American and women in corporate America as vice presidents of banks. But during my time, it wasn't. And then me working with the government, going to places where there has been disasters and giving out monies to businesses that have been devastated over the years. I enjoyed that job because, again, as you can see, most of my positions and most of my jobs is all about service. It's not about the money, it's about the service, because that's what comes first for me. So thank you for having me as well.
That's great. Thank you for your answer. And I have one final concluding question for this Q&A. I was just wondering, why do you think it is so important to have these types of interfaith dialogues on such important topics?
I think it's important because we get to recognize that we're all the same. We might have different religious beliefs, but when it real boils down, we're not that different when it comes to our feelings, what we think about things, how we treat each other. Those kind of things are at the core of the human being. And that's a human being experience. Outside of what you believe in as in your religious views or any other beliefs, still you are a human being. And so it is important for us to have these exchanges so that we can get to know each other. And that's another thing we say in my faith. You don't really know people or know each other until you spend time together. So until you spend time together, you really don't know. So this gives us an opportunity to know each other. And I love listening and speaking with young people. I learn so much from you guys. Learn so much from you. So you have so much to offer right now.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your answers.
Yes.
All right. Now we're going to move into Kahoot. It's kind of a trivia game. So I'm going to share my screen. A code is going to pop up, and then you can go to kahoot.it. I'm going to put it in the chat, and then put in that code. I'm going to share my screen shortly.
I played this game before, and I failed miserably. So I'll try it again.
We don't have too many questions, and I'm sure you're going to get a couple of these for sure. And can everyone see the screen? It should say get ready to join, loading game pin. I don't know if anyone can see it. And I will put in the for the link. Okay, I think we're gonna start now. Just it seems like we have quite a few people at this moment, so I'm gonna start.
I missed the code.
Oh no! I'm so sorry.
4 and 4.
Okay, I believe we have all. Oh, we don't have to wait the whole time. This is a common misconception that we've seen. There are a lot of people that think that it's complete requirement. Looks like we have all our answers. And false. Yes, that's not true. A lot of people think that, but again, these misconceptions, they can really blur our perspective on what these religions actually believe. So we have all our answers. And every one of these is true. There are so many things that go into having women's rights and equal rights and justice. We'll go on to our next one. And last but not least, oh, it says all of them, but I think it was Valencia. I don't know what happened with this final Kahoot answer, but now that we've concluded time of Kahoot, we'd like to kind of go into some closing remarks. I'm going to share my screen again for the PowerPoint, just because we have some more information on there that's I think important for everyone to see. Second.
Tommy, may I also add something?
Yes, of course.
I just wanted to thank Miss Hamdullah. You're really inspiring, and I'm moved by how much you do for our community and how you go above and beyond personally to lend a hand to those in need, especially in your own personal life. And I really just enjoyed your whole presentation and how you push to educate not only women, but men as well, because it really takes a community. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm kind of pushed into this role. I don't like speaking in public, but you have to do what you need to do to make a difference. So this is the least favorite part of what I do, is speaking in public, but I have to do the work. So thank you very much.
Oh my goodness, I would have never guessed you spoke so
I don't
great.
like it. But there is a, and I won't hold us, but there, and Professor Bassam knows the story better than I, but in our faith, when we read our Quran, there is a story about Musa, which you call Moses, and his brother, and his Musa had a speech impediment, and he wanted to send his brother to do the work, but God wanted Moses to do the work. So Moses had to do the work anyway, although he didn't feel comfortable doing it. And Professor Bassam, I hope I told that story halfway decent, but that's where I am. I don't like speaking in public. I like to be in the background, but sometimes you have to do this to do your work. So thank you for having me.
I would have never guessed. You did a wonderful job, and a lot of the things you said really resonated with me. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so our last couple slides. We'd like to talk about some practical steps that we can use, and this was touched upon by both of our speakers today in great detail. So we're just kind of going over some more overview. And the first thing is to challenge gender stereotypes. That's another misconception that people can have, and even apart from religion, people can have gender stereotypes. So if you hear them and people are talking about them, don't validate them, challenge them, and just don't let it slide. You can talk about it and have a conversation. Another thing you can do is advocate for equal opportunities. Our speaker here, Ms. Hamidullah, she has all of these organizations, all the work she's doing. That's a way that you can advocate for equal opportunities. But another way is, you can speak up whenever the topic comes up. And again, don't validate these other ideas that aren't fair to women. Another way is by promoting inclusive policies. A way this could look like is by reaching out to your representative, your state representative, and talking to them about these issues if there are government policies that simply aren't right. And this could also be like surveys at work, talking to people in charge about making policies that are more fair for women. Last but not least, as spoken by both of our speakers today, educating yourself on equal rights and also privilege and power dynamics. Knowing how the system works and how the dynamics are between men and women are very important to kind of having a more equal society, and not just more equal, but completely equal. That's what we should be working towards. And it's the mission of a lot of these other organizations that we're going to talk about now. And this is how you can get involved. And we're going to have a link in the chat on these organizations, as well as a couple of the organizations that our speakers have talked about, as well as Ms. Hamidullah's own organization of Knowledge for Living. We're going to have that link there as well. One of the ones that we've looked at is Florida Now, and it's an organization that's focused on taking action to lead societal change, eliminate discrimination, and achieve and then protect equal rights for women. And that's a great organization. We're going to have the link where you can volunteer for that. The Central Florida Women's League Foundation is also another great one. It's a nonprofit organization with the goal of awarding grants to different nonprofit organizations that are furthering that cause of protecting women's rights. And also, they're also giving out scholarships for young, outstanding women that need the help and need the money for this education that we've talked about throughout this entire event. Another organization is One Heart for Women and Children. It's an organization with a mission to provide the necessary needs and resources to children and women that are in need all throughout Central Florida and beyond. Last, but certainly not least, Harbor House of Central Florida is an organization with the goal of paving the way for safer communities by providing life-saving services to domestic abuse victims. And these are just 4 out of countless organizations, as our speakers have talked about so deeply, and that they're involved in, and all the different things. Again, we have a couple links there that you can check out. There is a way that you can make a difference, and I think today we've only scratched the surface on what you can do, and there's so much more, even though we've already talked about so much. There's a lot that we can do in the world to complete this and bring society to a more equal opportunity for everybody. So thank you for joining us. I'm not sure if we have any more closing remarks from our speaker, Amina Hamidullah, or Professor Shaban, or any of the other organizers.
We just want to thank Amina and Michelle for their time. We know they're very busy women, making sure the world is safe, the communities are safe. And we also want to thank all of our audience members who attended. We hope that this benefited, and then that your question was answered. This recording will be available on our Golden Rule Initiative YouTube channel. So we can send you a link as long as you've registered on the Eventbrite site to register for this event. You'll get a copy to share, and for those who couldn't make it for some reason, you'll also get the ability to review the event. So thank you all for participating.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.